All right, so we've created our exam, our in-class assignment. Now we're going to move to lab reports. As I said in the last video, we did an in-class assignment here, and you have that list of options that allowed you to determine what kind of assignment you wanted your students to submit. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to do an assignment that our students would submit online. So let's see how this works. We're going to create a lab report for my course. So I'm in the Assignments tab. Again, to get here, you just go to Assignments in your navigation bar. And I'm going to click on the plus assignment to add a new assignment. So here we go. So I'm creating a new assignment. I'm going to call this Lab Report 1. And I'm going to shorten my instructions for students this time. Obviously, you can make them however long you'd like to. And I'm going to say, please submit your assignment for Lab Report 1 here. Now obviously I would probably want to give far more defining terms for what this assignment actually is. I want to say, okay, this is the topic it's over, this is where you can go to look at an example, whatever I'd want to do, that's what I'm going to put here. But I'm more interested in showing y'all how I would then classify this as an online assignment. So I'm going to come here down to this lower portion and I'm going to say, okay, I want this assignment to be out of 100 points. It's under the category Lab Reports. Whatever grouping you want to make your assignment, then go ahead and do that. I want to display this grade as points. And here, remember, we originally had on paper, which didn't give us any options. But now I'm going to choose online, and that gives me several different types of options. Do you want your students to just put in text entry? Do you want them to provide some kind of website URL? You can even have your students submit videos, or you can have them submit audio of them talking. So that would be media recordings, and they do that all from inside the Canvas app. It's really, really cool. On the other hand, I want my students to do file uploads. Now, when you choose file uploads, you can actually determine what kind of file your students can or can't submit. So if you don't want your students to submit the wrong kind of files to you, this is where you can determine that. So if I do check file uploads, then I'm going to check restrict file upload type, and then you just do what's called a comma-separated list. So let's say I wanted my students to submit Word documents or PDFs. Now the thing you have to remember here is there are two different types of Word documents. There are doc, then there's docx, and then PDF. And so this is going to make it to where my students can only submit one of these three types of file uploads. And I'll demonstrate from a student perspective what would happen if I tried to submit a different kind of file. Okay, so there's that. Do I want to make this a group assignment? For now I'm going to say no. Do I want them to review each other's work? Peer reviews? No. Do I want to allow a moderator? I'm going to say no. And then let's go ahead and set a due date and make times of availability for this assignment. So I'm going to set the assignment's due date as July 8th. There it is. And I want to make it available from, let's say, the 4th. We'll give them a week. I'll say the 1st, and then I'm going to leave this guy blank. And by leaving this blank, it means that my students will be able to view that assignment for the remainder of the semester. So this lab report, I'm not too worried about students, being able to see it beyond the due date because it's not like it's test questions or anything. Okay? So I've created my assignment, and now I'm going to save and publish this because I always seem to forget to publish and then drop it into my module, and then when I go to student view, I can never see it. So I published it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to modules, and I'm going to add this assignment to my module, because remember, I hid assignments from students. So if I went into student view right now, I wouldn't be able to see this assignment even though it's published. And I do this so that I can build modules with these assignments in them, and by building these modules with the assignments in them, it limits when students can see specific assignments. If you let your students see the Assignments tab, they're going to be able to see any of the assignments you have scheduled for them. Okay? So I'm going to go into Modules, and then I'm going to add an assignment to Module 1. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to add in Lab Report 1. Okay? And this is another interesting thing I want to point out about modules. So notice that these are pages. And as such, they have a little icon next to them that signifies their pages. This, however, is an assignment. And notice it has a little A in its icon, denoting that this is indeed different from these. So it's a visual cue to your students that this is going to be something different from these things here. Okay, so I've added this to Unit 1. Now it's finally time to see what the students would see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit Settings, and we're going to go to Student View. Okay, I'm in Student View. Let me jump over to Modules. And I can now see this assignment. Okay, so I can see this assignment. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And when I click on that and I go here, I now have the option as a student to submit this assignment. So here's where your description, if I had written a longer description, this is where the students would see the description of that assignment. You could put a video in here, you could do whatever you want to get your students ready to submit this assignment. And so I'm going to say, okay, this is an assignment. Well, let me go ahead and submit it. I'm John, every student, so I want to submit it. And it brings up this. It lets me know I need to submit this via file upload, so I can submit multiple files if I want to. I'm just going to choose one file. So the first time around, I'm going to pretend like I am a student who doesn't understand what I'm supposed to do here. So let me go ahead and try submitting a file that is an incorrect file type. So this is a movie file. I'm going to choose that. And notice I get a notification saying this is not a doc, a docx, or a PDF file. So I can't choose that file. I can't actually submit my assignment because I have the incorrect file type attached here. So it gives your students a visual cue and lets them know you can't submit it in its current state. All right, so let's go ahead and now let me submit a different file type. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and I have the example syllabus here. It's a PDF, so I'm going to choose this. And now notice I don't have any kind of notification. So obviously this is a really poor lab report to submit, but I'm going to do it all the same. So I'm going to say, this was a great assignment. So your students can actually leave you feedback as they submit this. If there's any issue, they can also type that here when they submit this. And I'm going to then submit the assignment. And so when your students submit the assignment, after it submits, they're going to get a big green check letting them know they turned it in. It's going to give them their submission details, so they can click here for those. That tells them a little bit about it. And this is really important. We'll see this in a little bit. I'm going to talk about you actually grading this assignment, so we'll come back to this from the instructor standpoint in a little bit. But students need to be aware of this. View feedback, because what we're going to see is you can leave comments and you can actually draw on their assignments, and if they don't click this, they're never going to see it. So they can download their assignment, they can view their feedback, and they can see your comments here. So here's the student's comment, and me as the instructor, I'll be able to comment on this. So an assignment like this is one that you are going to grade. So this is where you would actually type in a grade once you're done grading this assignment. Okay? But that's essentially how we create an assignment that students have to submit online. We set parameters for the file type that they need to submit, and then this is a view of what the student would see if he or she were to upload that file. Okay, so those are online assignments. We'll talk a little more about setting some tools in place that can verify that two of my students in my class maybe aren't plagiarizing each other's material, or that they're not plagiarizing someone else's material. So go ahead and leave student view. And we're going to leave this assignment. Again, we'll come back a little later as the instructor will assign a grade and all of that, but I want to talk about that a little later. Okay?